This video will give you an idea of how effective the BrushDestructor Blade is at clearing thick lantana and how to do it safely when on steeper ground. The area you see here was an old fruit orchard that has been left unattended for several years and has been taken over by the Australian trifecta of weeds, tobacco bush, privet, all being smothered by lantana. In fact, in some places here it is a quadfecta, if there is such a word, as lantana and blackberries are both fighting for dominance. As you will see here, the best way to clear lantana, that is in some places so thick you cannot even put your hand through it, is with a sharp BrushDestructor blade on a well-balanced loop-handled brush cutter. This combination makes it now possible to clear what used to be almost impossible to clear. Also, if you look closely through the video, you will see the importance of a good harness. It gives you plenty of freedom to move the brush cutter around while distributing the load evenly over both shoulders and hips. One of the disadvantages of being so efficient at clearing and mulching is the waste mulch generated, especially on sloping ground. When clearing lantana that is 2 to 3 meters high, you end up walking over what you have just cleared. And these cuttings can be 200 to 300 millimeters thick, resulting in a very unstable and slippery footing to balance on. I personally have had a couple of scary moments, so please take notes so that you can operate your brush cutter more safely in these conditions. Whenever you are on thick mulch, get into the habit of always stopping the blade from rotating before taking another step, and make sure you have good footing before starting it up again. If you think lantana is slippery, then mix in some privet and it gets super slippery. Privet has a lot of small, straight, smooth branches, and when these pieces are laid on top of one another in all directions, they will easily slide and roll on each other, making for a very treacherous matting to stand on. For a harness, the Husqvarna Balance XT, even though it is not cheap, is probably the best money you'll ever spend. It gives plenty of freedom to swing the brush cutter wherever you want while easily distributing the load, which allows you to keep working for many hours with no back strain. Now at this point I'm going to upset a lot of people by suggesting that if this is the sort of bush you need to clear, you should consider trading in your bicycle handle machine and buying a loop handle brush cutter. I have made this point on other places on my website and have received several quite blunt emails saying that I am wrong about this, and this is backed up by the number of bicycle handle versus loop handle brush cutters hanging on retail display walls. As I found out, this is a very emotional viewpoint for many people, including myself. I guess it is the same as with cars. If you are a staunch GM or Ford man, nothing will change your mind to convert to the other. You will also find that salesmen at most retail outlets will tend to suggest you in the direction of a bicycle handle brush cutter, based on information supplied from their suppliers and not based on their personal experience. This, however, is my viewpoint based on years of experience, so listen, watch and do your own research to make your own informed decision. A loop handle brush cutter gives you the flexibility to easily roll the brush cutter on its side to precisely cut in any direction. It gives you a greater horizontal swing without winding up your back. It gives you a greater vertical up and down motion for mulching. It gives you the ability to reach and cut above your head to cut down high branches. Although I must add that I read somewhere that in the EU it is illegal for safety reasons to lift the cutting head above waist height, which is about the limit of a bicycle handle brush cutter anyway. It gives you more accurate control of the cutting head when cutting around valuable plants or rocks close to the ground. It allows you to use the brush cutter as a balancing aid on steep or slippery ground, just like a tightrope walker's balancing pole. It allows you to use it as a long walking stick when walking along your own thick mulch on steep ground, or when clearing along a small stream and must cross back and forwards on slippery rocks to clear both sides of that stream. It allows you to work in more confined spaces. And it allows you to easily control the throttle when full starting, especially with temperamental two-stroke engines. One of the advantages of leaving this thick mulch laying on the ground where it fell is that it slows down the regrowth of all those seeds laying on the ground waiting for sunlight to reach them. It also prevents the soil from drying out and turning to dust or washing away in a heavy rainstorm. You will, however, find that the mulch will settle down and start to rot away very quickly. Then come back in a couple of months and it is very easy to see where the main trunks of the trifecta are and quickly grind these down with the BrushDestructor Blade. You will need to continue this process for a couple of years, or if you don't mind using poison, you can spray the regrowth until all the main trunks are dead. Finally, for those armchair generals out there who find they must comment on my viewpoints, if you cannot do it in a polite and constructive manner, then please don't bother. The area you see here was cleared with 1 tank of petrol.